stop what you are doing and listen closely, because the moment we have all been waiting for is finally here. The rumors have been swirling for months, but they are no longer just whispers in the dark. They are turning into roars that are shaking the foundation of the tech industry. We are standing on the absolute edge of what might be the most significant desktop computing launch in Apple's modern history. We're talking about the next generation Mac Mini, powered by the M5 and M5 Pro chips. If you thought the M4 was fast, or if you thought the M1 changed the game, you need to reset your expectations immediately. This is not just another yearly update where Apple slaps a new sticker on the box and calls it a day. This is a total transformation. This is the moment where the smallest computer in Apple's lineup quietly becomes the most important machine they make. We are about to cross a performance threshold that was once reserved for $5,000 workstations, and it is all happening inside a box that fits in the palm of your hand. To understand why this is such a big deal, you have to look at the history of the Mac Mini. For years, it was the underdog. It sat quietly in the corner of the lineup. Enthusiasts loved it because it was cheap. Developers loved it because it was reliable. But it was never the star of the show. It was the computer you bought when you couldn't afford a Mac Studio or a MacBook Pro. That narrative ends now. With the success of the M4 generation, Apple realized something crucial. They realized that people don't just want a small computer. They want a compact powerhouse. They want a machine that can rival full-size towers without taking up the entire desk. The M5 generation is the answer to that demand. It is the realization of the Apple Silicon dream. The heart of this revolution is the chip itself. The M5 is not just a tweak of the M4. Reports are flooding in that this chip is built on TSMC's advanced 2-nanometer process node. If you are not a chip nerd, let me explain why this is a monumental step forward. In the world of processors, smaller is better. Moving to 2 nanometers allows Apple to pack significantly more transistors into the same amount of space. It means the distance electricity has to travel is shorter. This results in massive gains in energy efficiency and raw speed. We are looking at a manufacturing breakthrough that guarantees sustained performance like we have never seen before. It means the chip draws less power to do the same amount of work. It produces less heat. And because it produces less heat, it can run at higher speeds for longer periods without throttling. Analysts and insiders are projecting numbers that honestly sound fake, but the math backs them up. We are looking at a projected 25 to 30% improvement in multi-core CPU performance over the M4. Think about that for a second. A 30% jump in one generation. In the old Intel days, we were lucky to get 5%. On the single-core side, we could see another 10 to 15% climb. If these figures are accurate, the M5 Mac Mini will be one of the fastest computers on the market, period. It doesn't matter if it is small. It will chew through data faster than huge gaming PCs that draw 3 times the power. But the excitement isn't just about the CPU. The graphics performance is where things get really interesting. For a long time, the base model Mac Mini had a decent GPU, but it wasn't a monster. That changes with the M5. The base model is expected to move from 10 GPU cores to 12 GPU cores. That might sound like a small bump, but it features a completely redesigned architecture. This new design is optimized specifically for the things we do today. It is built for AI acceleration. It is built for metal performance. It is built for real-time rendering. This means that if you are editing 4K video or even 8K video, the timeline is going to be buttery smooth. If you're doing complex 3D rendering in Blender or Cinema 4D, the viewport is going to update instantly. Advanced motion graphics will feel fluid. For the first time, the entry-level Mac Mini is going to blur the line between a consumer toy and a professional tool. You won't need to buy a Mac Studio for these tasks anymore. Now, if you're a true power user, you are probably waiting to hear about the M5 Pro. This is the chip that is going to keep Intel and AMD executives awake at night. The M5 Pro is designed for the people who make a living on their computers. We're talking about LM editors, software engineers, and data scientists. The rumors suggest the M5 Pro could sport up to 16 CPU cores. That configuration would include 12 high-performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. On the graphics side, it could boast up to 22 GPU cores. This specification is frankly shocking for a computer of this size. It would bring the Mac Mini dangerously close to outperforming high-end MacBook Pros that cost twice as much. Imagine a desktop priced under $2,000 that competes with professional-grade machines used in Hollywood. This is the kind of disruption Apple does best. They cannibalize their own high-end sales by making the cheaper options too good to ignore. Let's talk about the design. You might be worried that all this power is going to make the Mac Mini huge or hot, but the form factor is expected to remain consistent. It will likely use the sleeker, smaller chassis that was introduced with the M4 generation in late 2024. Remember, that redesign shrank the footprint by nearly 50% compared to the old Intel models. That wasn't just for looks. It was an engineering statement. Apple proved they could condense serious power into a minimalist box. The M5 version will stick to this winning formula. Because of the move to the 2-nanometer process, thermals should be even more manageable. Apple can keep the fan noise to an absolute minimum. You will likely never hear this computer running, even when you are exporting a massive video file. Some insiders are speculating that Apple might add a slightly larger vapor chamber or a reconfigured internal fan to handle the M5 Pro, but from the outside, it will remain clean, elegant, and invisible. There's another piece of the puzzle that is just as important as the hardware, and that is AI. You can't talk about tech in 2025 without talking about artificial intelligence. Apple has been quietly supercharging the neural engine in their chips for years, but with the M5, they are taking the gloves off. The new neural engine is expected to receive significant architectural enhancements that could double the throughput compared to the M4. This isn't just about buzzwords. This translates to real speed in your daily workflow. Think about real-time transcription of meetings. Think about smart content recognition in your photo libraries. Think about generative editing in Final Cut Pro, where you can remove objects from video instantly. This is all powered by Apple Intelligence. Unlike other companies that want to do everything in the cloud, Apple wants to do it on your device. They want it to be private, and they want it to be fast. The Mac Mini M5 could become the central hub for this ecosystem. Connectivity is another area where the M5 Mac Mini is going to shine. In the past, the Mac Mini sometimes felt a little limited on ports. That is changing. We are expecting the I/O options to match or exceed the current M4 Pro configuration. The big headline here is the likely inclusion of Thunderbolt 5. This is a game changer for data speeds. It dramatically increases throughput. It means you can connect multiple 6K displays without breaking a sweat. You can run external SSD arrays at speeds that feel like internal storage. For video editors who work off external drives, this is a dream come true. You can have high-bandwidth capture devices plugged in alongside your monitors and your storage, and the bus will handle it all. We also expect Wi-Fi 7 support, which will future-proof your wireless networking for years to come. Speaking of storage, there is one leak that everyone is praying is true. Apple may finally expand the baseline SSD storage. For years, the 256 gigabytes base model has been a point of frustration. It is just not enough for modern standards. The rumors point to a jump to 512 gigabytes for the entry-level model. This aligns with the reality of file sizes today. Mac OS is bigger. Apps are bigger. Caching for AI takes up space. A 512 gigabytes base model is essential for a good user experience. If Apple does this, and if they keep the entry price at $599, the M5 Mac Mini becomes the best value in the history of computers. It becomes a no-brainer recommendation for students, for families, for businesses, and for creators. Memory is also getting a look. The base model will almost certainly stick with 16 gigabytes of unified memory, which is plenty for most people thanks to Apple's efficiency. But the upgrade options are going to be juicy. We may see options for 24 gigabytes or 32 gigabytes on the standard M5. And for the M5 Pro, you could likely spec that beast up to 64 gigabytes of RAM. If you're a developer running Docker containers or a musician with massive sample libraries, 64 gigabytes of fast unified memory in a tiny box is a beautiful thing. And thanks to the 2-nanometer process, even with that much RAM, the system runs cool. The software experience is going to tie it all together. The Mac Mini M5 will launch alongside Mac OS 16 or 17. These updates are going to be heavy on AI productivity. Imagine a workflow where your Mac Mini automatically syncs project files in real time with your iPad. You sketch on the iPad, and it appears on your 6K monitor connected to the Mac Mini instantly. The Mac Mini acts as the compute hub, doing the heavy lifting while you use the tablet as a controller. Apple has been building toward this seamless multi-device ecosystem for a decade, and the M5 generation might be the point where it finally feels magic. Apple Intelligence will bring smart summarization, live translation, and context-aware recommendations that actually work because the hardware is finally fast enough to run them locally without slowing down the system. So, when can you get your hands on this marvel? The release date leaks are pointing to a very specific window. We're looking at a launch cycle that follows the typical 18-month cadence, which puts the M5 Mac Mini squarely in the spotlight for a release early next year. Pricing is the final piece of the puzzle. Apple knows they have a winner with the $599 price point. It acts as a gateway drug into the ecosystem. It hooks people in. It is highly likely the base M5 will stay at $599. The M5 Pro, being a premium product, will likely start around $1,399 for a solid configuration with more RAM and storage. Maxed out, you could spend thousands, but the sweet spot will be in the middle. This positioning is strategic genius. The Mac Mini sits perfectly between the consumer-focused MacBook Air and the industrial-strength Mac Studio. It appeals to everyone. Developers who code at a desk don't need a battery. Creatives who work in a studio don't need a screen attached to their computer. Gamers who are finally starting to look at Mac as a viable platform thanks to the new GPU architecture will find this to be the cheapest entry point. If Apple nails the execution, the Mac Mini M5 could experience a surge in adoption that we haven't seen since the original M1 launch. It is the perfect storm of performance, price, and timing. In my honest opinion, this is the most exciting product Apple is making right now. The Vision Pro is flashy, and the iPhones are popular, but the Mac Mini is pure computing. It is a tool. It is a workhorse. And the M5 version looks like it is going to be the best tool for the money that exists. If you're sitting on an M1 Mac Mini or an Intel Mac, this is the upgrade you've been waiting for. The jump to 2-nanometer architecture is a generational leap that will keep this machine relevant for 5 or 6 years. It is future-proof, it is sleek, and it is insanely powerful. If you like the video, subscribe, share the video, and hit the bell icon like that and give your best opinion about this product.